Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I'm going to be trying to guide you guys through Cavalier difficulty of the Rise of X for your 4-star run. I'm going to name the 4 stars that I personally used and show the path that I took. So we're going to start off in chapter 1. We're going to get to the Warlock Boss. Warlock Boss, I pretty much just used Medusa. It was a quite lengthy fight, but Medusa did just fine. Obviously, because Warlock is a robot, you can completely shut him down. So here I effectively just went to the left side because it had the least amount of nodes. Polka dot power kind of meant that I didn't get any power pretty much throughout the fight. That punishment glutton is meant to buff skill attackers quite a lot, but on this right side lane we do not have any kind of like champions that would inflict incinerate or anything of the sort. For the lane itself, I pretty much exclusively used Aegon, but you can use pretty much anyone here, whoever you please. And then you have this Sunspot mini boss who has enhanced Incinerate, Hot and Bothered, and Trial by Fire. So you don't have to have an Incinerate immune champion in order to deal with this guy, but it obviously helps. You can just be a lot more conservative and you don't have to rush anywhere. But overall, it's a very simple, just slightly longer fight, nothing too much to worry about. And then we have Warlock with enhanced armor up, enhanced shock, enhanced power drain, empowered immunity, and explosive personality. So needless to say, Medusa is, in my opinion, by far the best answer here. Obviously, Vision Arcus would work absolutely fantastic as well. And I'd assume Nebula would do good enough job here as well. In addition, remember that Warlock's infections only deal damage to you when you actually have debuffs if you have willpower. So removing willpower could help you through this fight. Or if you have champions that have several buffs like Venom, for instance, you can pretty much ignore infections altogether. And now we can move on to the quest number 2. Quest number 2 is kind of like where the fun starts, because each quest has this global node that's meant to help certain class champions. And now we're gonna check out where we went in the quest number 2. Quest number 2 is Science Quest, and it basically goes as whenever you have a debuff expire on opponent, you gain a 10% fury, and pretty much everything is covered in this track. Now I went to the far right side and it was easy enough. I pretty much soloed the entire lane, not pretty much, I soloed the entire lane with Captain America Infinity War. I just brought in champions with different classes, so he places more debuffs, so every parry placed a parry debuff and 3 more additional debuffs. I got to my 20 furies extremely quickly. In addition to all of that, obviously you have the perfect blocks, so 4-star is very kind of like sustainable and lively. You take no block damage, and that was my kind of like a route to go here personally. But I believe there is also a life transfer path which might be even easier for plenty of you. So you can go down to this lane where is Hood, Carnage. You have to deal with Mephisto and Dr. Doom though, but again, remember it's life transfer. With Dr. Doom, keep in mind if you have a Petrify or slow debuff on him, he can't enter his Aura of Hazarath. So for instance, Captain America Infinity War would be a fantastic option here once again. And other viable champions would be pretty much any science champion that inflicts plenty of debuffs, or in addition, a Resonate Mastery will also frequently place debuffs on opponent, and then you can literally use any champion. Science class is quite heavy on debuff reliant champions as is, but yeah, I found Captain America Infinity War just to be my personal kind of favorite, mainly due to the perfect blocks and how quickly he placed those 20 debuffs and got that attack boost. Now the boss is Medusa, and that Medusa is not stun immune. She does have Oscillate and Aggresso, which in return makes it for quite a weird fight against Medusa, because even though in armor phase in Oscillate, she will still be trying to dash in at you, but she will be hesitant to throw special attacks. And yeah, for most part I just used Captain here, but you can really use any champion against Medusa and just parry and heavy, then you don't have to worry about her auto blocking. And yeah, she's not stun immune, so Medusa by default becomes quite an easy prey. Obviously, you can also benefit from Mystic champions like Dr. Doom, your Morning Stars, or whoever to help you finish out the fight quicker. And now that is it for first two quests. Let's move on to quest number 3. Let's just wait for the game to load. I'm trying to record this quickly before work. So quest number 3, Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch boss is quite tricky, but OG Vision did absolute wonders. Now this is a tech quest, so you want to go straight down the middle right here. And once you do, you're gonna be teleported kind of like far side. And you have kinetic transference, so basically opponents will be gaining power when you block. And the tech node is kind of complicated, but basically tech attackers under the effect of armor up buff power drain 2% of defenders max power each time the attacker blocks an attack. So whenever you block an attack, if you have armor up buff, you can power drain 2% of their max power. The potency of this drain is increased by 10% for each active armor up. So champions that can have multiple armor ups will gain significantly stronger power drain. And whenever the defender is power drained below a power bar threshold, tech attackers gain a permanent passive fury, increasing attack rating by 15%. So I'm sure there are champions that could benefit from this quite significantly. For most part, I just didn't have any ranked up, and I did most of this lane with Ghost, Star-Lord, and Stark in Hand Spider-Man. Those were pretty much the champions that I used. I did also have Vision with me, and I used OG Vision maxed out 4-star Sig 99 against Scarlet Witch. It was extremely long fight. It took about 340 hits or so. But with Vision, you can make sure that you never trigger a buff on yourself, which will help you dealing with that pilfer regeneration. And also, Footloose is a problem here, because whenever she activates special attack, she gains that unstoppable and 25% away chance for 7 seconds. With Vision, I had entire fight, 300 odd hits, and Scarlet Witch didn't throw a single special attack. And that's fantastic. But obviously you can just bring in champions that do not rely heavily on buffs and also can work as unstoppable and await counters. And every slow champion pretty much in game comes to mind right now. So you could in theory more than likely use Sorcerer Supreme, Captain America Infinity War, She-Hulk, Spider-Gwen, possibly Stealth Spidey, though I somehow feel that wouldn't be the best idea with the high crit chance and Scarlet Witch buffs and the poison chance. And yeah, remember, she also has 80% critical resistance, so you will hardly be critting. So given opportunity, adding some damage over time effects will certainly help you. But that crit resistance makes the fight longer, but it also kind of works in your advantage because she's going to be triggering significantly less abilities, and you're not going to get power drained as often, you're not going to have poison debuffs placed on you as often, so on and so forth. But yeah, basically the main node there is Footloose. For me personally, as I mentioned, OG Vision did a wonderful job soloing this fight. I hadn't used any items up until this point in the run. I used my first revive on Magic Boss because I messed up with Quake and got a bit tired, and then a few revives on Apocalypse. But other than that, I didn't use a single item outside of those 2 boss fights. And I'm sure if I had actually practiced the lanes or done them beforehand, I probably could have done a bit better. Okay, next quest, we can see that this is the lane I took, so straight up basically, straight up down the middle. And this is the Cosmic path, and Cosmic Grit and Buffed Up. So Buffed Up, first requirement obviously is for you to have 3 buffs active in order to deal any damage at all whatsoever. And then you have Cosmic attackers who reach total of 4 Fury, Armor Up, or Precision buffs gain an indefinite Aptitude buff, increasing the potency of all future Fury, Armor Up, and Precision buffs by 25% each. each time they gain a Fury, Armor Up, or Precision buff beyond 4. Max stacks of 20. So this is entirely kind of like Hyperion chapter. Hyperion was an absolute MVP. Against Nightcrawler, it can obviously be tricky, but what you do need to do is try and switch his stances, and once you do, basically just spam heavy attacks, and you're going to gain Furies, and then you're going to gain aptitude buffs, and then you're going to hit like an absolute truck. This was a very, very enjoyable quest. I used Hyperion pretty much throughout most of the lane here. I used actually Black Bolt against Agent Venom, and I had Black Bolt and Medusa with me, mainly for that Darkhawk, because obviously Medusa shuts down Darkhawk. So Black Bolt did his job against Agent Venom because I didn't have to rely on parry style kind of gameplay, and I didn't have to rely on any debuffs pretty much. And Black Bolt with Medusa synergy gains those buffs permanently, so he started hitting like truck towards end as well. Additional note, if you are using Medusa against that Darkhawk over there, Black Bolt synergy will let you go up to 6 Fury buffs, so you will be able to play around the buffed up quite easily, and obviously that will give you more damage. However, when you shut down the ability accuracy, you're also shutting down that node that gives you aptitude buffs, so you're not going to get that bonus in that fight in particular. And the boss fight here was Professor X. Professor X actually is much easier than I initially thought he would be, because he lets you punish him after every special attack, because he goes in channeling pretty much. The key to winning this fight is realizing that you have to play around that falter mechanic. So keeping your eyes on that timer, remembering that even though you are faltered, you can still land special attacks, and learning special 1 evade. And special 1 evade was extremely simple. It's basically just get out of the way, and eventually towards the end of the special attack he throws a single projectile at you. I think I brought in a random champion to test out the fight. I did a bit of damage, and then for the rest of it I just finished the fight off with Hyperion. You really do not need any kind of like specific counters. If you can power drain him, that will make the fight quicker and easier, because you're not gonna have to worry about as much about his special attacks, and he's gonna lose his channeling charges. So power drain champions are certainly welcome, but he really doesn't require any special kind of like champion or preparation. So buffed up lane in itself, obviously because it's cosmic class, is not too hard to work around. You can use a plethora of different cosmic champions. You can start with your Silver Surfers, Medusas, Black Bolts, Hyperions, Captain Marvel movie version, or whoever you want. For me personally, Hyperion certainly did the job. And let's move on to the next quest. The next quest has a very, very annoying and hard boss to deal with, and that was Magic, but we're gonna get to her in a second as soon as the game lets me load up there. So let's move on. This was a mutant lane, and for me here I actually did it with a 4-star 440 Colossus. So the easy lane is walk down straight to the left and then go down. So you have Seeing Red, which is mutant attackers reduce the potency of bleed debuffs by 50%. Additionally, when activating special attack, they purify any bleed debuffs on themselves and gain a permanent passive prowess, increasing special attack damage by 20% for every bleed purified this way. And then you have Biohazard. And even though Colossus didn't benefit from Biohazard as much as most champions would in combination with Seeing Red, I just brought in underranked Permafrost, underranked Omega Red, and Colossus, and he did absolute wonders with increased power gain. Biohazard actually helps Colossus ramp up quicker, because when his immunity protects him, he has a chance to gain an armor up buff, so he had much quicker ramp up process, and Colossus did absolute wonders for me. Other than that, you obviously just need to look at your mutant roster. There's Iceman, who most people have, who's quite old champion, that's bleed immune. Then you obviously have Omega Red, who works absolutely fantastic on Biohazard, and whatever other bleed immune mutants we have. Magneto now can easily be used as well. And Mole Man, not too tricky of a fight. Electro, If I recall, I just quaked it, but you can use like Omega Red or whoever you have. And then we jump over, then we have Ant-Man, Nick Fury, which is somewhat tricky, and Man-Thing, which obviously will pretty much demand you to bring in a poison immune character as well. So at least for one of these fights you need a double immunity. And then there's Magic, and Magic is a very, very cheeky boss to put on this lane. So she has Prey on the Weak. The defender gains 5% of their max power each time a buff is nullified, expires, or removed off the attacker. So it means every time you trigger Dexterity, you land a hit, she's gonna gain 5% of her max power, which in return will help her get to limbo much frequently. Her special attacks are unblockable, which is important in combination with the very last node, Special Chaos Inversion. So you do have inverted controls for the special attacks, which makes them quite harder to dodge because it requires very good reaction speed. And then she heals from buffet node, and then you have electric fluctuations. Right, for me personally, it was Quake all the way. Just Quake and Shake It with a 4-star, no problem. Additional options obviously would include Archangel, more than likely. He's capable of shutting magic down, or, well, most of your magic counters. But Buffet in combination with that Special Chaos Inversion in combination with Prey on the Weak could be quite tricky. I imagine Captain America Infinity War could do quite decent job because you can reverse the limbo heal, but that limbo damage is quite insane. Gladiator Hulk, I don't know if he would be best, but yeah, my recommendation certainly would go with Archangel and or Quake. And now we're gonna jump to the final quest. And final quest is actually very enjoyable, very kind of like cheesy, but the final boss is quite tricky. So let's jump in the final quest. You actually see the team that I used in my final quest. I used Doctor Strange, Voodoo, Ronan, and Ghost and Wasp. So the line itself is simply a personal space, which is absolutely fantastic because it gives any defenders fury buffs every 3 seconds when you stay close to them, and then you can nullify them, which is extremely important for the Mystic Consumption node. Mystic attackers gain a permanent passive prowess, increasing their special attack damage by 20% each time they nullify a buff or the opponent fails their buff roll. Max stacks 20. And any Mystic Champion with nullification abilities is an absolute beast here. I personally had loads of fun with Doctor Strange, launching like 40, 50, 60k special attacks, even as a 4-star. Dr. Voodoo obviously can do quite well as well. Or if you feel in extremely cheesy mood, I would certainly suggest Ronan, because once you get opponent to like 4 or 5 fury buffs by hitting them in the corner, at that point you drop a special attack and they are just permanently stunned. It might take a while, but it's super easy to do. The opponents there is Miss Marvel, Wolverine, and Iron Man Infinity War. Iron Man Infinity War could be quite tricky, but again, if you can stay close to him, give him those furies and then nullify them, for me personally, Doctor Strange worked out absolutely fantastic. I believe I finished that fight with like 100%, and it took a while. You have to play a bit carefully. Reparry is super helpful, but it really wasn't all that bad. Now this Deadpool, he's quite stacked and he's a horseman, but other than that he doesn't really have anything much going on for him. Immunity to bleed, superior special, so it's just a very simple Deadpool X-Force fight, no need to cover it. We have Nova. Again, I just cheesed that Nova with Ronan. It was very simple, just start dropping my specials, he got perma-stunned. Wasn't a big deal. Other than that, obviously Mystic characters typically have quite decent time against Nova. Then you have Crossbones, Black Bolt, all very simple fights, and Apocalypse. Now Apocalypse is quite tricky. So he's gonna start pretty much with all of his charges filled up straight away. But the biggest help for you is that whenever you're intercepting Apocalypse, you're gonna get a passive fury for 5 seconds. that's gonna give you 200% damage increase, and that just works absolutely fantastic with Ghost. And you can do a lot of damage with Ghost, and even if you are completely unable to wait his special attacks, I reckon you can get him down within a couple of revives with Ghost, especially if you don't choke like I did at the very end of my stream. His special attacks are quite tricky to evade. For most part, if you are not confident, I just recommend blocking them. And then in addition, you must remember that since he starts with all of his charges, he is stun immune while striking, so parries do not work, and his second or first light hit that isn't parried will be unblockable. So effectively you can't block the guy at all. But you can intercept, you can gain the passive 200% increased fury, and other than that, there is nothing too much stopping you from absolutely smashing that guy. If I could do this over, I'd probably try to use also Hood's energy with Ghost and just try and tank the special 3s. But yeah, I'm sure there is going to be a video soon up there somewhere, how to wait Apocalypse's special 2s. I am trying to practice as well myself. I haven't gotten it quite down, but when again comes for recommended champion suggestions, Ghost as a 4-star seemed to be the first go-to option. Second one would be anything that hits hard and has a decent high block proficiency, so you can tank some of those specials on a block. I believe that would be the most safe route to go. Additional note, do not rely on damage over time champions, especially champions that inflict bleed and incinerate, because within 8 seconds Apocalypse is going to go fully immune for rest of the quest, sorry. So even when you start the second fight, he's already going to start with that immunity. So no bleeds, no incinerates. But yeah, I think that pretty much concludes the help for your 4-star run. I really do hope this was helpful for you guys, and if it was, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya.